Any questions or any comments? Munib. Walaikum salam.
Sheikh Tuhan or a flash of fire will only be faced by West, or Muslims also suffer from it? And if Muslims, if we live outside of cities and we minimize the use of minimize the relationship with banks, then and stay away from riba system, then we shall हम फिर भी क्या कहते हैं रिबा से सफर होंगे कि नहीं? रिबा सॉरी इससे दुकान से और फ्लैश ऑफ फायर से जो आप कह रहे थे. I'm not able to convey my question.
I have not understood the question, no. It would be better perhaps if you write out the questions for me. You can try again. I did not understand the question, no. Yeah. I also need to buy a hearing aid because my hearing is declining. Okay? If you write out the question, might be better for me. Yes? Go ahead.
I'm more into the morning session. I just like to clarify. You see, normally the surah comes coincident with an incident or situation. Like, something happens, then the surah is like solving the problem for that time. But does the surah come, like for example, Surah Yasin, does it come down all the whole thing at one time, or is separated? If it's separated, how is it being able to put into one?
I am not in a position to tell you. Those stars here will tell you which surahs of the Quran were revealed entirely as a surah. Probably many of the short ones at the end would be entirely a surah, but most certainly Surah Al-Baqarah was not revealed as one whole surah. Okay? It will be several times revelations will come, and all of these revelations are now directed towards Surah Al-Baqarah. We do not have total information of this method of how each surah was combined to form. But there are specific events and reasons why a revelation sometimes comes down. This is called Asbab al-Tanzil, and there are books which record the reasons why a revelation came down. But that does not exhaust our understanding of the revelation. The revelation could have many more meanings in addition to this one. Okay? A very famous example, a woman came to the Prophet ﷺ with her father to complain that her husband had beaten her. And the Prophet replied, لَيْسَ لَهُ ذَلِكَ, he had no right to do so. And the Prophet ordered qital, that the father will now go and strike the husband. And as the woman was leaving with her father, Jibreel alayhi salam appeared, and Allah sent down the revelation, الرجال قوامون على النساء, in Surah Al-Nisa. And the Prophet called the woman back and said, I ordered one thing, but Allah has ordered another. And he revoked the order of qital. Now, I have only given you a snippet of the subject. I'm just giving you an example of Asbab al-Tanzil. Yes, this is important. The historical circumstances connected with certain revelations. But that should not be used to exhaust the meaning of the ayah. Any more questions? Yeah.
Assalamualaikum, Madam. I have a question regarding you have mentioned before in many months ago, I cannot remember when, but the word is self-generated knowledge.
What?
Self-generated knowledge. Proceed.
Self-generated knowledge, yes, go ahead.
So how, as elderly people, can get the self-generated knowledge by reciting Quran in the proper method?
It happens every time. Every time you pick up the Quran and to recite the Quran, every time you get new knowledge. Every time you get new knowledge. Yes. Unless you are half asleep and half awake while reciting the Quran. The Quran is miraculous. Yes. And the ayat of the Quran are alive. This is nur from Allah. And you may recite this ayah many, many, many times. But now this day when you recite it, Allah gives you new knowledge about the ayah. The new knowledge comes from Allah, and it comes when you are faithful to the Quran. It's not only that you recite in the Quran, but you must follow what you recite. The difference between tilawa and qira'ah. The difference between tilawa and qira'ah. Qira'ah is to recite. You move your tongue, that's it. Tilawa is more than reciting, it's to follow it. Ittiba', to reach it out to others. And if you are doing that with the Quran, then Allah will continuously bless you with knowledge. Any more questions? Walaikum salam.
The first part in the morning you were talking about the Quran, the methodology of the moon, and now the methodology of the sun.
The stars.
The star, okay. The moon, basically, you were talking about recitation. Recite, no? But now we are talking about more to like understanding the Quran and connecting the dots and whatnot. So I was trying to compile. So what I've got like from the age of 4 to 7 just now is basically learning to read the Quran, recite the Quran, and by 7 they should be able to read any surah. And after 7 onwards is understanding the Quran.
No.
No.
At the age of 7, the child should be able to recite any passage of the Quran. You open the Quran any way you hand, the child should be able to recite. By the age of 10, I am suggesting to you, at the age of 10, the child should be reciting the Quran continuously from cover to cover. If you do that for your child, this is the most precious gift any father and mother could ever give to his child. If my father and mother could be sitting here before I was born and when I was a baby, and could have listened to this lecture and bring me up like that, today I would be much higher. Yes. So if you give that to your child, you're giving your child the greatest gift possible, that by the age of 7, the child can recite any part of the Quran, any part. And by the age of 10, the child is reciting the whole Quran from cover to cover once a month. Many children by the age of 10 have already become Hafiz of the Quran, memorized the whole Quran. But I have a surprise for you. I told you already. My surprise is you're not going to get any Hafiz in the future from any child growing up in the city. None. You want to get a Hafiz of the Quran, you'll have to find a child growing up in the countryside, in Pondok.
Which is like our children at the age of 10, that it's just not possible for us to just send them away in a remote place without us going there. Or how is that possible when living in this?
Your child at home, why can't you teach your child to recite the Quran at home?
They do.
Why? Yes, well then once they recite in the Quran from cover to cover at the age of 10, already you fulfill your duty. Yes. You've already fulfilled your duty. If your child is reciting the Quran from cover to cover once a month. Yes. It's easy at that age. They recite it quickly at that age, because the memory is powerful at 10. When you reach 40 and 50, it's not the same. No. When you reach 40 and 50, it's not the same as when you were 10. Have I answered you? Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh. I'm asking. Okay, my question is, which one is, in terms of priority, there are Quran which is all in Arabic, and there are Quran with translation and all that. So I've got, from my limited knowledge, the one with all the Arabic language is much more higher in priority in terms of the rewards on Allah and all that. Because we have a lot of version now, we have translation and all that contains more of the the non-Arabic language more than the Arabic language. Even we can touch the Quran without any wudu and all that. Which one is priority? In terms of you get the rewards from Allah.
I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, the question is, we have Quran which is all in Arabic without any translation. Okay, the pure Quran and all that. Now we have version with translations. Translation. Sometimes the translation in English is more than the Arabic itself.
Okay.
Which one?
Yeah. For the recitation of the Quran from cover to cover, you should not have any other book on your table other than the Quran itself. Nothing else, only the Quran. No explanation, nothing of the sort, just the book of Allah. That is the way to recite the Quran. Okay? When you have completed your juz of recitation, then you can spend time in trying to study. Okay? And as you study, then your capacity for tartil will increase. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. And recite the Quran slowly and melodiously and with an effort to understand it. The study will help you with the understanding. But while reciting, it is only this Quran, nothing else. Next.
So you are recommending we have two versions. One is purely the in Arabic, the one is...
When you're reciting, recite only the Quran, full stop.
Right. Okay.
This is the Quran.
Right.
Okay? This doesn't have Tom, Dick or Harry inside of it, only the Quran. Yes. That is the book to use for recitation, only the Quran.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah? Yes, Munib.
Sheikh, Allah said He will put flash of fire and dukhan.
He will put a flash of fire and then the smoke, yeah?
And then smoke. You said Western civilization will be punished by this flash of fire and dukhan.
This-
My question is, Allah will put flash of fire and dukhan only on Western civilization, or He also punish Muslims? And if so, if we quit, in case of Muslims, if we quit the Jar's way of spending our life, then still we suffer and face Allah's wrath and punishment.
Okay. In Surah Al-Isra of the Quran, you have something more than what is in Surah Al-Rahman. In Surah Al-Isra, Allah says, وَإِن مِّن قَرْيَةٍ إِلَّا نَحْنُ مُهْلِكُوهَا قَبْلَ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ أَوْ مُعَذِّبُوهَا عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا كَانَ ذَلِكَ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَسْطُورًا. That not a single town or city will escape. None. Every town and city, meaning every town and city which deserves to be destroyed, will be destroyed. And those which escape destruction will be punished with terrible punishment. And this is something inscribed in the book. Who are those which are to be destroyed? Who are they? Number one on the list is riba. Because Allah says in the very last revelation to come down, that He's going to wage war on the moneylender. فَأَذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Who are those who will be destroyed? Answer, Sodom and Gomorrah. Allah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of their homosexuality, and He destroyed them in such a way as to send a warning to the world that if you return to this, I will return to my punishment. When the state declares that a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate, and you continue to live in that country with your wife and children, you are truly a fool. Oh yes. Oh, but Sheikh, this is where the money is. We can get jobs over here. We could buy a lovely house and live comfortably. Ah yes, but when Allah destroys them, He'll destroy you as well. So the destruction is not only modern Western civilization, but according to Surah Al-Isra, every town and every city which deserves to be destroyed. I don't know what's the fate waiting for Kuala Lumpur. Any more questions? Yes? Oh, Sheikh.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum Assalam.
I have a question, but rather a simple one. So I enjoy studying the methodology that you taught by connecting dots, and it made me understand better of some of the verses that I've heard are very common, but today I learned better when I have a teacher in front of me. But can you share one good tips if we would study alone and would prevent from misinterpreting the things that we're reading, so that we get to get the full meaning of what we're reading and reciting? Thank you.
The best gift you can get after being a child in a happy home is to get the right teacher. Lucky is the one who gets the right teacher. This is the blessing that Allah conferred on me, that I got to become the student of the right teacher. The right teacher is one who is walking in the footsteps of Khidr alayhi salam. The one who we will find at Majma'ul Bahrain, where the two oceans of knowledge are harmoniously integrated. This was my teacher. He had a PhD in philosophy. A PhD in philosophy, yes. And I was like a green banana when I went to him. And he, in the space of 6 to 7 years that I lived with him, he was able to train me and direct me and guide me during this period of time. And he used to say, I'm not going to take you up the mountain. No, I'll teach you how to climb the mountain. Yes. And may Allah bless him with Jannah. Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah. His major work is at the back there, but we're running out of copies now. The Quranic Foundations and Structure of Muslim Society. So if you see something in me today that you appreciate, it's because of the teacher I had. So you have to search for the right teacher. Be careful of the teacher that you have. Let me tell you something about the right teacher in Akhirul Zaman. And please don't forget it. Akhirul Zaman is different from the rest of history. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that holding on to Islam in Akhirul Zaman will be like holding on to hot coals. And there are many Muslims in the world today who don't want hot coals. And they don't want a teacher who will teach them that Islam which is like hot coals. So I say to them, stay away from me, I'll stay away from you. I don't have time to waste with you. Now, I prefer to be with those who are prepared to hold on to Islam even when it is like hot coals in their hands. That's the kind of teacher you must find. Any more questions? Oh yes, oh Sheikh.
Just some questions. As you mentioned before, you said before, I think 2 times that by age of 10, the student should have the routine to read Quran page, from cover to cover. So how about the understanding? Because we want to do it systematically in our school. So when can we introduce the student to understand the Quran and the tools to understand the Quran and things the Arabic part? So how to integrate this?
There are those who have more competence than I do as teachers, because I have not been teaching children, okay? And they would have a better understanding at the age of 10, at the age of 11, at the age of 12, what should you be teaching. But I'll tell you a little secret. My father, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he used to spend his money buying books. And he had excellent books on Islam, on history, on politics in his library. He died when I was 15, and he died without knowing. He never knew it. Since I was 12 years of age, at the age of 12, I would go down in his library and I was reading books on Islamic philosophy, and I was reading books on Islamic history and world history at the age of 12. Which is why today I have this versatility as a scholar. So do not underestimate the capacity of a child. I taught a class of children for 1 year. It was the most enjoyable period that I had. The youngest was 4 years of age, and the oldest were about 12. And I taught them for 1 year. And I would have the class after Maghrib. And the parents were complaining, why don't you have the class before Maghrib? They get back home. I said, no. Because I would turn off all the lights in the hall. And I had some oil lamps. And I would light the oil lamps for light. And the oil lamps in a row, so that that child will never forget. Never forget. And the children, the parents can sit on chairs, but the children were sitting on the floor with me. And I found that there were 2 4-year-olds, a boy and a girl. I was totally astounded by their intelligence at the age of 4. I couldn't believe it. Imagine that at the age of 4. The parents probably didn't know what the child had, but I knew it. So, when do you teach a child this and when do you teach a child that? I believe it depends upon the child, not on the class. And different children will be blessed by Allah with different capacities, different gifts, different aptitudes. And mashallah for the teacher who can spot the capacity of a child and then guide that child. Those children I taught 10, 12 years ago are now married and they have their own children. But the memory of that class will remain for me forever. A very enjoyable experience. Be careful of the teacher you have. The teacher has to be able to spot what is there in the child. The personality of the child, the aptitude of the child, the gifts of the child, and then direct the child in the path where the child will grow rapidly. So at the age of 12, I was reading books on Islamic philosophy in my father's library. Yeah. The next one is the knowledge of the Arabic language. The teacher has to determine, and you're blessed to have a good teacher here. When I meet an Indonesian, I show respect. Oh yes, I love Indonesia. When you have a competent teacher, yes, he will teach you. He has to know. He knows the method of teaching the language. That's not my field. The others are more competent than me. This is not the methodology for recitation. This is methodology for learning how to recite the Quran. Any more questions? So make sure you get a good library in your home. You don't know when your child is going to pick up a book and read it. Yes.
I'm wondering, and to my understanding, the Quran has more stories, Qissa, rather than hukum on the law. What is the difference?
The Quran has many, many stories in them, Qasasul Anbiya. And my class with the children was on this subject, Qasasul Anbiya. And you have to bring the Quran alive, so it will fire up the imagination of the child. So when Hajar was left in the desert with the baby, and Ibrahim alayhi salam had gone with the camel. I asked the parents sitting by, I said, I want each of you to take this paper aeroplane, keep it with you. And when I give the sign, I want you to put them to fly. And then I started the class. I said, the angel came, and the angel rubbed his heel on the sand, and the water came out. And when the water came out, guess who was the first to see the water? Oh, it was this bird in the sky. And when one bird saw the water, the news spread to other birds. And so many birds started coming to drink from the water. And then I gave the sign. And then parents started to send these paper aeroplanes, and they're flying all over the room. And the children looking up, look, the birds are here. Drama. Those children will never forget. It was the birds who saw the water. And then the birds came. And when the birds are flying in one direction, the travelers look to the birds to know where there is water. And that's how the travelers came and found her. Yes. Any more questions? No more. Very good. Over to you.